Hello friends, welcome to online learning session. I am Miss Yasri Kale, working as Assistant Professor, Department of Agricultural Economics, KK Wagh College of Agriculture, Nasik. In our today's session, we are going to see the motivation and its methods. So, let's start with the motivation. First is the introduction of motivation. Motivation is the stimulus that produces action. Directed action is a primary function of management. This is why managers are so concerned with the concept of motivation. The definition of motivation is it is defined simply as the act of stimulating an individual to contribute at most to achieve the desired objective. So, by definition, motivation is nothing but stimulating an individual to achieve the desired objectives. It is a simple one. Ideas of motivating people or motivational methods. There are two types of methods of motivation or ideas of motivating people. First one is intrinsic rewards. Under this intrinsic reward, first one is a sense of participation, autonomy, interest, increased responsibility, opportunities for advancement, variety in the skills and work schedule, interesting work. These are the 6 sub methods that comes under the intrinsic rewards or intrinsic methods of motivation of people or employee. And then next is a extrinsic reward. Under this extrinsic reward, first one is a direct compensation, second one is a indirect compensation, and last one is a non-monetary rewards. These are the sub methods that comes under the extrinsic reward. First one is a intrinsic reward. In this intrinsic reward, first method is a sense of participation. Provision of suitable opportunities for the participation in decision making will make the worker feel that he is an important part of the enterprise and has a role in the determination of its plan and actions. As a result, he will perform his work enthusiastically because of a sense of participation in the working of the enterprise. Once you involve the employee of your organization in the important decisions of organization, then that employee feels that they are important to that particular organization or institution, and that feeling stimulates them to work more enthusiastically and effectively, that is more profitable or more beneficial to that particular organization. Next one is autonomy. If the worker is allowed freedom and discretion in his work, he will perform better than he is required to take orders from his superior at every stage of his work. That means autonomy is you have to allow some freedom to that particular employee to perform his job more efficiently and effectively. Next one is increased responsibility. A worker would any time welcome an opportunity to tackle a challenging responsibility. Only an adverse situation brings out the best in any person. An easy routine or unchallenging job, on the other hand, will make him dull both physically and mentally. Next one is opportunities for advancement. Prospects of advancement in career also brings out the best in a worker. If he knows he can rise to higher position by acquiring the required knowledge and skills, he will perform his present assignment with greater commitment. On the other hand, if there are no opportunities for promotion to a higher position, a worker, particularly the one for whom the work is means for personal growth, may not be willing to put in adequate performance. So that opportunities for advancement is one of the important method of motivation. Next is a variety in skills and work schedule. If the worker is made to do the same kind of work again and again, it affects his energy and interest. To sustain one's interest in work, it is necessary that some variety is introduced in the skills level and work schedule too. Next one is interesting work. If the job suits proficiency and aptitude of the worker, he will perform it well. On the other hand, if does not require him to use the knowledge and skills or if it is otherwise uninteresting, he will not be willing to do it well. That means he lost his interest in that particular work if the proficiency and the aptitude is not using in that particular job. Next is a extrinsic reward. In that extrinsic reward, first one is a direct compensation. It includes salary or wages, overtime and holiday pay, bonus payments made under the profit sharing plans, fringed benefits, etc. These compensations are performance linked and paid according to the job done. Next is a indirect compensation. It includes the facilities, amenities allowed to the worker free of charge or at concessional rates, and these are allowed without discrimination on the basis of performance, qualification, skills and seniority, etc. Under this, employee may be allowed housing, conveyance, medical, domestic servants and so on. A indirect compensation is allowed without discrimination. It fails to motivate the worker as effectively as the performance-linked direct compensation does. Next one is a non-monetary rewards. Non-monetary rewards may take various forms depending on the capacity of the enterprise and imaginative ability of the management, location and layout of the office or plant may be one such reward. If the office is situated in a posh area, if its layout is both attractive and utility oriented, if act as an effective motivation for those working in properly planned lunch hours, and also serves as a aid to motivation. Similarly, if the work assignments are consistent with the worker preferences, there may be improvement in the performance by issuing an identity cards to workers. Though a minor thing in itself, they may generate the sense of belonging among the workers, particularly in case of workers at lower level. Identity card may be used as a status symbol. These are the major methods or main methods for motivation of the employee to receive an extra benefit to the employer. Thank you for your peaceful listening.